I'm Christina with The Turned Leg, and if you're new here, I have been a booth owner for over 10 years, and I do a whole bunch of things on this channel. I take you thrifting, I talk about having a booth, redoing a booth, all of the things, and even how I make some pieces pretty. Today we're going to change it up a bit because in the past, when I have done videos about what I am buying now for my booth, so many of you are like, Christina, we want to see exactly what you're buying. And normally, because of the systems I have in place, I process my stuff fairly quickly. I literally leave all of these boxes normally like in an obvious spot in my house, like my dining room table, which kind of forces me to price them and get them into my booth as soon as possible. So I usually already have the things at my booth and I don't have them for you. But today's a little different and I'm going to show you what I've been buying. And actually, this has been about over a couple weeks of purchases, just so you know. The reason why I'm not getting things into my booth, obviously the weather has been crazy, but I also had to have an emergency retinal surgery to my eye. So I'm totally fine. I am so grateful they caught things when they caught it, but they found 2 tears in my retina that they had to deal with right away. And it was no big deal, except I have a lifting restriction in place. So can't bring stuff into my booth. I can't do booth setup videos, but I thought this would be the perfect thing for all of you, and you have been asking for it. So I hope you enjoy this, and let me know if there are things you are buying now that I didn't mention, or if there's things you're like, oh yeah, I'm picking those up too. So let me dive right in and show you what I'm buying for my booth. These Italian trays, I love. They are selling like crazy. Anything with color, with gold, a little bit of glamour is selling. And I'm also thinking with Valentine's Day and spring around the corner, these are going to be really fun to decorate. So Italian trays, definitely things I've been on the hunt for, and I pick them up anytime that they're a good price. And I know probably you're going to be asking about how I price things, because that question always comes up. So I'm going to put a link here to my pricing video. Make sure after you're done watching this, you go over and check that out and let me know if you agree or disagree on my pricing strategy. Another thing I am picking up all the time are tiny pictures and prints. This one is spring. It's already priced. It's just little pansies, super sweet, really pretty backing to it, and people always have room to put something small and something tiny. I got this inexpensive. My mom thought it might even be a vintage greeting card, but it's pretty. And with a spring display, this is going to be pretty too. So any small pictures or prints, I'm picking those up. I also like, because I can stage with them really easily. You can put them in bookcases, like in shelving, is because most shelving is pretty short and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I put? So you can layer your displays. You can add pops of color, and people like tiny things, especially in my area. A lot of the houses are smaller, and so you can't get too big of things, or it's gonna have to wait around for the perfect buyer. But tiny things, always a good idea. Another thing I'm picking up, and I know I talk about this all the time, are vintage books. And this is not that vintage, but I'm looking for a few things. So obviously, old books, the older the better, even kind of falling apart. I love vintage books. I love staging with them. I think they make shelves look so much better, but I also love the bright colors. And I used to bind up, like if I had a whole bunch of blue books, I'd put them in a blue book stack and price them accordingly. And it really didn't matter what the topic was, because people like them on their shelves. These are good risers for things. You can set up like a full display on them. It really makes things pop. Good layering too, and good color. So now, any books, colorful, old, vintage, good bindings, funny titles. I have a book I just keep buying every time I see it. It is an old book called Excuse the Dust. No idea what it is about, but I love it because could you imagine it on a bookcase? Wouldn't it just make you laugh? In fact, I even have that book on my own bookcase because it makes me laugh every time. And sometimes people buy the books just for the titles. Another thing I'm picking up, and this is especially for the new year, but also because we have the dark academia, or some people are calling it poet core, whatever they're calling it, think studies, dens, bookcases, libraries, all of the things. And so even for the new year too, people are thinking organization. This hand-carved letter sorter, desk organizer, whatever you want, definitely picking it up. It's special, it's unique, it's going to help you organize. So instead of just putting post-it notes on your desk, you can elevate your space and make it look a little fancier. And that's what I'm seeing people picking up. Special, cool, one of a kind, or vintage things just to elevate their space. And once again, this is a smaller scale piece too. I kind of love handmade-ish pottery. I have no idea what this is, but I loved this little trinket dish. I think it's handmade just because like the glaze is over the edges, and it might have been a novice, but I am loving the colors on this. I love the glaze. It reminds me of a big flower, and it reminds me of spring. It was a really good price, and I think it's going to be perfect with some pops of color, right, in your display with a spring decor, something small, something kind of handmade and unique. And I also just came across a whole bunch of white china, and this is marked Johnson & Brothers, made in England. It is newer because obviously it says dishwasher and microwave safe, but I got teacups, I got saucers, I got dessert plates, and I picked these up. White, I hate to say, you know, is the color of the year, right? Cloud Dancer, the Pantheon color of the year. But people are loving mixing in white dishes with the ironstone-ish vibe. Even if they're slightly newer, I think setting this up as a dessert set, because I have 4 cups, saucers, and then 4 small plates, I think it's going to sell that way. We'll see. I got it for a great price, and I'm loving the simplistic style. They'd even be pretty standing up in a display, put some pops of color. With that set, I've also found a gravy boat. It doesn't have the plate that would go underneath it, but once again, this one looks like the older ironstone. It is new because the bottom says Johnson & Brother. It says dishwasher, freezer, and microwave safe, but I think people are still looking for the style, and because it's not as old, I didn't pay as much for it, and therefore I can pass along a little lower price for still the same style. Really still liking the look of ironstone. Perhaps you already saw me picking this up in my previous thrift haul video. If you haven't checked it out, I'll put a link here. But if you're a booth owner, you can always look for items for displaying things in your booth. I like this. I can make it a little sign. I can put a little price tag on it. It has a little chalkboard. It's always fabulous. I'm also always looking for like little easels, and some of the tiered trays and stuff just for display pieces, and whatever can help to make your stuff look prettier is just going to help to sell your stuff that much better. And if you could pick it up at a thrift store versus wholesale prices or retail prices, extra bonus. Remember that Italian tray at the beginning. I also picked up this little bottle. It is a vintage perfume bottle. I guess it could be oil and vinegar, but everything I found out about it said it was vintage perfume. Once again, we've got Valentine's Day coming up. We've got spring. Check out the roses and detail. It would really be pretty anywhere. Loved the look of that piece. Another thing I think is really hot, and you're going to have to weigh in on this. I'm really loving amber glass, gold, amber colored glass. And I think it's making a comeback. You'll have to weigh in. I have noticed a tick up in sales of pieces that are this color. I've sold quite a few. I love the chunkier pieces. This is just an absolute gorgeous vase, and I can just imagine this filled with almost any color flowers, so it'll be great too for staging in my booth. Another thing I'm always on the hunt for, and this was in that other video too, is seasonal vintage items. One of my mannequins in my booth is definitely going to be wearing this for St. Patrick's Day. And as a vintage dealer, I know so many people are always telling me, like, we don't have to decorate. And I know that, but people are going to be decorating. If you have a few items that are vintage seasonal, you can then, around your display as you're building it out, color block it. So I could have this on my mannequin, and then we could have green items, everything green in my booth I could find. And everyone will get the message. We're decorating for St. Patrick's Day. We're decorating, even though it doesn't have to all be shamrocks all the way. People will get the idea. And I think color blocking is wonderful, but having a few key pieces to help set the tone of the seasonal display really help. And even if this doesn't sell, I just totally love the vibe of it. Another thing that's making a huge comeback is we are seeing, obviously, the cottagecore movement, whatever you want to call it, simpler times. We're seeing a lot of the younger generation really liking to have things in their kitchen that have a story, that have history behind them. And I know this isn't like a true crock or anything, but items that kind of remind you of the olden days, primitive pieces, wood bowls, things like that. You could stage this crock with flowers. You could put, wooden spoons or kitchen utensils in it. There's a lot of ways to use it. And I think special items like this are also making a comeback too. Now, I know you're going to laugh at the next one, and I know some of you are going to be like, you are absolutely crazy. But I've actually heard some influencers saying that with the new trend of modern heritage, which I am loving that new trend. If you haven't heard about it, definitely check it out. Pretty much it's, why not have modern things in your home that are comfortable and usable like your normal furniture, and then bring in those heritage items which are grandma's antiques or inherited pieces, or those special thrift store and antique finds. Also, with the modern heritage idea, we are hearing a lot of maximalism, which frankly, as antique dealers, this is all a win-win for us. That means people are looking for special, one-of-a-kind items to put into their house, and they're also just buying what they love. And I love clear glass. This is the depression glass, the iris pattern. It is clear, I know, but it's spring, right? We've got irises all around. I picked it up. I'm putting more clear glass in my booth. I'm gonna stage with it because there is no way to bring back something if people don't see it. And I know a lot of people have completely taken crystal and clear glass out of their booths. I say put it in. Don't necessarily stage it all as one set collection, but mix it in with other items and show your customers. If you love this bowl with the irises, buy it, because it's going to look good on that table with the brass lamp and all the other things that you stage. So I think as you're staging your booth, mixing and matching things, even unpredictable things, the things you love, make sure you're popping those in your booth. I'll be popping in more clear glass and crystal pieces too. Another trend we are seeing, whether we like it or not, is the 80s style. I don't know, some people are still saying it's like granny chic, it's cottage core, but what is coming back are some of the 80s florals. We are seeing the old stenciling ways. We are seeing the ducks, the geese are coming back, like the country vibe, except they're not calling it country vibe. And the people that are buying it are much younger than I am and don't remember it probably the first time around. So they're thinking it's really cool. And although every time I purchase something that I'm like, I remember seeing that when I was little, it's been selling quickly, like very quickly. So whether you're a fan or not, you might want to capitalize on this trend and pick some of those items up and just see how they do. I got a shelf or a sign initially. No, it was a shelf. It was a small shelf. It had like a wooden cutout goose and maybe a heart on it. You know what I'm talking about. I don't have a picture of it because I was kind of embarrassed I even bought it, but I'm like, I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna just pop it in my booth and we're gonna see what happens. And you know what? That baby sold quick. I don't know if they were keeping the geese or the hearts. I didn't talk to them, but like, it is really surprising. And I'm hearing the same from all of the people in my booth owners business group. I do have a booth owners business group. We meet on Zoom once a week. We also have a Facebook private group, and it's just so nice to like share ideas with everyone, to talk, to say, hey, how's that working for you? If you're interested in more information on the booth owners business group, there'll be more information in the description box below, or you can head to my website at shoptheturnedleg.com to find out more. But one of the pieces that kind of goes along with that is this. This is a Falls Craft creamer, and it reminds me of the 1980s. And I don't know, it might be a later pattern. I'm not an expert in false craft, but this gravy bow, I think the florals just kind of remind me of that time period, you know, the soft floral look. I also think this would be pretty staged with flowers or set up on a tabletop or a display for Valentine's Day or spring. So I picked this up. I'm also looking for all things 80, no matter how much they make me cringe. No, some of them were cute, right? Another thing that is super popular, the metals are back. They've been back for a while. Did they ever go away? I am seeing big excitement over brass items and, you know, vases, candle holders. Obviously, this one is great for a planter. Planters are great for spring. Also seeing a huge interest in copper. And this one is like a unique piece, you know, it's got all the patina and all of the goodness. This could be staged as a planter. It could be put in a kitchen. I'm also seeing a big uptick in silver-ish items, and pewter. And I really hadn't seen that in my area for a while. I'm curious, what kind of metals are hot near you? What are you buying right now? Another cool piece that I got. Another thing that's really hot when there's tons of snow getting dumped everywhere is to bring the green or spring into your booth early. There are so many people that tell me, like, when can I do spring? You can do it right now. And you can put it in so that your booth is like an oasis. I'm picking up any good greenery that I can find. I just sold, which really surprised me, 2 wreaths that kind of looked like this in my booth. People want the pops of spring. They want to remind themselves that winter is not too far away. So staging your booth with a few items that, you know, remind us that spring is coming, not only make your booth prettier, but if you price them right, they'll sell too, which always amazes me. So make sure, don't just buy the greenery to put it in your booth to make it look pretty. Slap a price tag on it, because this kind of stuff has been selling for me right now, which always amazes me how early spring is selling in my booth. But people want to escape, right? They might not be able to go to a tropical island. They might not be able to go on spring break, but they can add a little pop of greenery in their home. And I think for most people, the idea of real plants is alluring until they start trying to take care of them. People are busy nowadays, so artificial always seems to win. And I'm surprised what they will sell for. Even the ones that are really realistic, that maybe I pay a little bit more for, I do make my money on them. So look for those. And last but not least, I cannot stress to all of you, what should you be buying for your booth? Well, you should buy the things you love, the things that make you happy, not just the things you get for a good price or somebody told you will sell. I think what makes booths are so special are the booths that are a little bit different, that are not carbon copies of everybody else's. So I hope you really follow your style. You will find your customers. Another thing that never goes out of style is really good quality. I found this piece at the thrift store recently. Now, I paid about $10 for this. Look at this piece. It is such, oh, there's the price. I paid $13.91. Check out the markings on this beauty. This kind of a beautiful piece. This never goes out of style. It has history, and it is definitely something that you want to add into your booth. The quality, the uniqueness, keep an eye out for all those things. Now that the video is over, I thank you for being here. Make sure you've clicked the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. It costs you nothing and it really helps my channel. Also, if there's something that you think you need to share to the group, what's hot in your area, we would love to know. Please comment down below if you agree, disagree. Remember, it's a little bit different in all areas depending on where you're located. I'm right outside Detroit, Michigan, so it might be different from where you are. And sometimes we see these trends make their way across the United States. So maybe you'll tell us about something that's coming soon, so we will have it in our booths to be stocked and ready. Thank you guys so much. Now get out there to salvage, repurpose, and create.